Hello there, and welcome to Gina Gardiner and Friends. And today I have someone that I hope you're going to really gain such an enormous amount from the topic that we have today. Jerry G. Davis is a country and western songwriter and singer. He has had an amazing career. But one of the things that he is going to be prepared to talk about today is the fact that he has a stutter. Now, those of you that have been listening to the show will know that I was a principal for many years, and I came across many children and adults who had a struggle with a speech impediment, sometimes a stutter, sometimes not being able to pronounce particular words. And it can be really challenging. Not only challenging from the point of view of the actual problem, but other people's attitudes to that. So today we're going to explore that, and I hope that those of you that know someone who has a problem with speaking will recognize that actually that it can be something positive in your life if you choose to make it that way. So Jerry, such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Gina. I appreciate you having me on here there. Oh, boy, it's a real honor.
Oh, it's great to have you. So would you like to tell us a bit about your story? Explain, how you've come to be a country singer and songwriter.
Well, I started out there, but I was a child there. Because my family there would always listen to the Grand Ole Opry on the television. Used to come in on WSM, and we'd watch it every Saturday night. And I grew a love there for the words of the, words and music of the song. Of course, I enjoyed the artist, the performer of the song. So I just kind of wanted to. I started to write songs. I was maybe about 12 or 15 years old, and my parents had thought I was great,
Yeah.
I would write little rhymes and stuff. So anyway, cause I just loved, cause I've developed a love for country music, and I developed myself into to writing, practice, to listening to a lot of the other writers there, and then I read and then I ran into a friend of mine. He introduced me there to some people in Nashville there who was in the music business. That was Pete, and then Rose Drake. Pete and Rose Drake there. So I was invited over there, to meet some of their writers. So I ran into the Larry Kingston, Harlan Sanders, Lathan Hudson, Bob McDill, and there's several more, and they let me hang out with them, and then I learned from them, and then we'd get together, and I'd have a good idea or something, so I tell them about the idea, and they said, "What you got on that idea?" So I would come and to singing it, because I realized I could sing there. I guess I was about 12 or 13. I could sing without stuttering. So that gave me the the outlet, there where I could show my emotions by them singing it. Because I loved to, so I commenced to singing. So I enjoyed it there, and I started writing songs, learning from other writers, and then giving some chances, and then getting some recordings. So I was real, I was glad of that.
One of the things that I found interesting from your story is that your parents were supportive of you. And I think it's so important when young people find something that they're good at, that people support them, even when in the first instance it may not be particularly polished or great. And as you say, practice makes perfect. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. But you need somebody championing you, don't you? Behind you, standing behind you.
Yes. Yes.
Who,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
who were your greatest inspirations musically? You know, you said you had a lot of help from people. Who are the people who, you know, you looked up to and felt these are the ones that have made the difference?
I always liked the style of Ray Price uh, and Farron Young. He was one of mine, and I always loved Del Willie's music. You know, the first time I heard him, I thought, well, you know, he's a, you know, cause I'm gonna have to copy him. I'm gonna have to learn from him. So anyway, I've got so many people. You know, I like a little bit of you know, I like all kind of music.
Yeah.
You know, I like the old classical music. You know, with the Frank Sinatra and Edith Gourmet, and because I like them all. You know, I like all kinds of music. I even like opera music. You know, some of it. Because
It's all got something to offer, hasn't it?
yeah.
I'd like to ask you, growing up with a stutter couldn't have been easy. Could you share with our listeners how that was for you?
But I went into the first grade. That was really hard because that we didn't have too much the preschool back then. You know, to go to preschool.
Yeah.
So I went right on into the first grade and had to stutter. It was terrible, and then I remember because about the middle of the year it was, but they wanted to pull me out of school, the first grade, and they wanted to put me in a special school. And then my dad, you know, dad said no, you know, oh, so there's nothing wrong with him. He just got a little problem with his, you know, talking, so he wouldn't let him put me in there. So you know, so I went on to the second grade there, but I got better because I learned how to cope with it. Uh, and but you know, but that's, you know, because you got to deal with it all your life. But you can't let it define you. I mean, you got to move on. Because I had dreams, they're just like everybody else, and I had, you know, because I had a passion, so I pursued it, and I learned to, you know, I learned to live with my, you know, with my impediment.
You know, it's interesting, isn't it, that I've just been writing an article about diversity. And one of the things that I've written in the article is about people's expectations of those who have some sort of impediment or disability. Now, those who've listened to the show will know that I'm a wheelchair user. I can walk short distances now, but I have had times when I've been completely wheelchair bound. And people would often make assumptions that because I was in a wheelchair, that actually that I was mentally incapacitated too. In fact, it used to give my secretary great amusement when we walk. She'd wheel my chair into the town, and people would use that voice. You know, would you like a sweetie? Little recognizing that, you know, I ran a school and that I consider myself an articulate and intelligent person. And I think it's very easy when people see someone who's got a challenge or hear a challenge to make the assumption that because they have one challenge that they're capable of very little. And you're absolute living proof, aren't you, that had your dad not stood his ground and said, there's nothing wrong with him apart from the fact that he has a stutter, you would have been sent to special school. And there's nothing wrong with special school if that's the right place for you. But it patently wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad my daddy saw that, my dad. He, we talked several times, and he says, now you're, you know, you just got a little problem. We all got problems. He said, but you can't let that, you know, define you. He said, you got to, I know you got dreams and you got, you know, but, you know, he said, I can see it in you. I can see your creativity. he said, "You're gonna be okay. You're gonna come out." And because he always encouraged me,
Your
you know.
dad was obviously a very special man.
Yeah. Of course, I lost him there when I was about, the 15. He
Oh,
died.
yeah.
Yeah. And
That's, I'm really sorry to hear that. And that must have been
yeah,
incredibly difficult. Difficult anyway, but for someone, for your
yeah.
big supporter, to lose them, very hard. Jerry, when did you discover that singing and music was a way forward?
Well, working on my job. I was around 20 years old, and I was working on the docks. I was loading, unloading trucks. That was my job. It was open docks, and I started to sing, and I want to see if I could sing, and it come out. And I said, well, I can express myself now, because I can really express myself in my songs. So that I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a singing artist, but I got introduced into the music business by a friend of mine I was working with. He knew a friend on Penn Nashville, so he introduced me. He said, "I want you to meet somebody." He was at the Lawrence Welk of the music group, up here in Nashville, because they had an office up here in Nashville. So I showed up over there, and his name was Doyle then Brown. So he kind of took me around, and he introduced me to some other writers, and I met him, Larry then Kingston and Bob McDill. I met them. Great writers, in their own right. Award-winning writers. So I just because I met up with Larry Kingston, and I said I got a good idea for a song. He says, I was at the doorway, and he says, "Let me hear a little of it." So I said, "The trouble with hearts, they can't see where they're going. They fall into love without even knowing. They're believing in lie when the right words are spoken. Oh, the trouble with hearts, they're so easily broken." So he says, "Wow." He said, "Come on in and shut the door." So I went on in there, and we worked, there's several hours on it. And then we took it into the demo room, and we they put it on tape, and we got it cut there the next day
How
by
how
yeah.
fabulous. Was that the first song that you had published?
Yeah, that was first when I had go on the Billboard charts, and books it and I entered the charts. There with a Billboard, and they had a bullet. They called it a bullet when it took off, and put it run up the charts, and for us. And guy's name who sung it was on the Roy Head. He's an old rock and roller there,
Right.
then, and we got a good thing out of it. That we
Brilliant.
made some money out of it, and then we opened some eyes, because you got people coming over, over there to our publishing company, they're looking to write with us,
How
with stuff
wonderful.
like that. Yeah. So I met some great writers come over there, and boy, and I was blessed there because I learned from them. Well, they taught me a lot, and I'm so thankful for them.
So, do you have any idea how many songs you've written over the years?
Oh man. Well, I'm a member of the Broadcaster Music Incorporated, the BMI, because that's what I'm affiliated with. And I'd have to check my catalog to see, but I co-wrote a lot with people, different writers over the years. And then I kind of wanted, to get some recording of my own, Well, I want to be the only writer, sole writer, to show, because that's what every writer's looking for.
Yeah.
So I had several things I've done, and I got one out now. It's called the Me and Old Harley D. I wrote it about my motorcycle.
Now that's the latest one, isn't it?
Yes.
And I believe that we've got permission to listen to at least some of that song. So I wonder if it's all right with you that we'd actually go to listen to some of it and let our listeners just hear what an amazing song it is and what a wonderful voice you have.
Well, this ain't me singing now, because it's just
okay.
out of the car. Well, the guy who sung it, is Michael Lusk.
Okay.
Michael Lusk. He recorded it. He heard it, and he recorded it for me. And then some more of my songs. So he's a great singer there. But I think I waited about 4 or 5 years for that voice to come along, for that song.
Oh, well, let's let people hear Michael Lusk singing your song, which is called
Me and Old Harley D.
Wow, what a great song. Thank you very much for sharing it with us.
Yep.
If somebody has a speech impediment, or they have a child with a speech impediment, what for you have been the ways in which you've managed the difficulty, not only for yourself, but because of the way other people have approached it?
Well, but I hear out there nowadays, they got help everywhere. Back when I was coming up, there wasn't too much help for us. It was considered a mental. It was considered a mental disability. But nowadays, because they have help, and if you have a child there who is having problem, a young child who is having problem there, with the speech, get them help. Get them help. Go for it now. Don't wait, because 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 it becomes a habit, and it becomes ingrained in there. But there's a lot of help out there. The President Biden, he was a stutterer, all his life. So I've read some things on him, and you just can't give up. You got to keep on being who you are. And if you can't go through it, go around it. You'll find something about yourself if you do it, if you just keep on. And so I learned a lot from him.
Did you know that the Queen's father was a stutterer?
I had heard that. Is that true?
It is absolutely true.
Yeah, okay. I had heard that.
He wasn't supposed to be king because his brother was supposed to be king, and he abdicated. And he suddenly found himself in the spotlight. And he worked with a gentleman, I can't remember his name, who helped him because he had to then start giving speeches to the whole nation, particularly around the time of the Second World War. And the way forward was for him to have music playing in headphones whilst he was speaking. And the music helped him actually be able to speak. So many people who are famous, who are very able, have started off life with that, and it could have set them back, but they've not let them.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that people take on board. It's not the challenge that defines you; it's what you do with it.
Yeah. But you don't want to give up. That you know what you are, in your own mind, and and if you got a dream, and if you got a passion, follow it, go for it. Because they set your course for it, and then go for it, aim for it, and go for it. And,
I think that's such important advice, and that's true for everybody, not just those people who've got a challenge, but ultimately, we have one life. We need to make the most of it, don't we?
That's right. and then and then you let other people help you. Ask for help if you need it, because we're all gonna need it. We're all gonna need a leg up in this life. We're all gonna need a hand, to help us there. And then if they help you, or you reach out, that you help somebody.
Yeah, it's
To this.
interesting, isn't it, that when you do help someone else, not only are you helping them, but in truth, you're helping yourself too, aren't you?
Yeah, Jesus Christ said there, he said there is more happiness in giving than there is in receiving.
I think that's very true.
And it is, how you can give and how you feel about yourself, and that you help somebody. And so it's always good after.
And it comes in so many forms, doesn't it? Before the show, we were both talking about the Brushwood Media Group, and both of us are supported by Stephen O'Connor and his team. Everybody needs someone who has a bit more experience or expertise who can actually help you find your way through.
Yeah. Yes. Stephen O'Connor, he's the nephew of then Carol O'Connor. Remember Archie on All in the Family?
Oh yeah.
That was his uncle. That's his
Right.
uncle. Yeah, Stephen O'Connor. And he's a character. He is a people person. I guarantee you that. But that whole bunch over yonder to the BMG are just people persons, and they really encourage me. Boy, they fire me up when I'm feeling down, and they believe in me, and they not only say it in a word, but they show it in deed. Yeah, yeah,
such a lot of difference, and I have to say I
yeah.
found exactly the same.
Yeah.
We're coming towards the end of the show. We're not quite there yet, but tell me, what have you fulfilled your dream, or is there still more of your dream to come?
Well, I'm gonna keep on trying to, I'm gonna keep on writing songs, the long as I can. I just, I really enjoy the challenge. Or they'll come up with an idea, a simple idea, but it has depth to it. Something that everybody can relate to. Something different. I'm always looking for something different way to do, to write my songs.
So where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, I got it from just listening to music. I've always had a love for music, and then I just like accomplishing. I just get so much then a fulfillment out of it. But I begin a song. I always say I ain't going to begin another song until I finish this
one. Okay.
Because because I don't let them pile up. Because I finish. I mean, if I have an idea, because I put it in my mind, but if it comes back, there 2 or 3 times, I'm gonna write it.
Okay.
And then, and then I approach it, and I just commence to singing. I get a melody in my head to it, there to the hook line, and I'll start singing, and then I'll just commence to write the song, and
So
because it might take me a while, but I'll get it done.
does the music come first, or do the words come first?
Well, I come up with a good idea.
Okay.
And then I come to, there, say that the trouble with hearts, was the song.
Your first song. I thought the words that were lovely.
Yeah. Then what kind of music does that gotta have? If I have it in my head, I come to singing it. The trouble with hearts, can't see where they're going, fall into love without even knowing they believe any lie. When the right words are spoken, oh, the trouble with hearts, they're so easily broken. And I come to sing it like that over and over until I get it right. Until I get the words and the music flowing together. I enjoy doing that.
And you're really good at it. It's been an absolute joy to have you on the show. Jerry, it has been a joy to interview you. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. I look forward to hearing your next song when that comes out. Thank you very much for joining us today. Please do let us know what you think, and do join us in the next show. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye, Jerry.